Welcome into the Cam and Strick Podcast, episode number 20. I'm Andy Strickland. What's up, Cam
What
Jansen?
up?
How are you, man?
I'm good, man. I'm doing well. Darren McCarty, that dude has lived a life. He's been through some ups and downs, but boy, oh boy, he's had one of the biggest hockey moments, I'd say. It was involved in one of the biggest hockey moments, of course.
What's your biggest hockey moment?
I think I just tweeted about it. My first goal was
that your first goal?
That was my first goal. Took a year and a half.
You beat Brent Johnson up high. Mm-hmm. You could try that 1,000 more times. You'd never shoot the puck like that again.
No, I'm afraid I'm going to break my stick now, and it's going to cost me $200. I don't do slap shots anymore, brah.
Darren McCarty, man, just synonymous with the Red Wings.
Yeah.
You know, back in the day, they had so many superstars, Hall of Famers up and down their lineup, especially, towards you get to the, early 2000s. I mean, just an incredible roster. Like, I don't know how they ever lost.
I don't know how they controlled the locker room,
But it's the McCartys, the Drapers, the Maltbys. These guys were household names who were considered
they were the glue.
depth players.
They were the glue.
Think
Think about all those monsters. I mean, just think about, you got Hawley, you got Shanahan, you got Eiserman,
Fedorov,
you got Hasek. Then you got, so if McCarty and Maltby and Drapes and those guys weren't there, I just think that they were the glue of that locker room. They made everything funny. They were loud. They stuck up for the guys and kept everybody kind of equal. When you have that many monsters, it's hard to control.
And he says Chelios is the godfather. I don't think we're surprised to hear that.
No, I know. But he wasn't loud. He wasn't loud in the locker room or anything like that.
His presence alone.
Oh, God, yeah.
You talk about, and I know, we had the Keenan podcast that came out and, Messier and all that. To me, Chelios may be the greatest leader.
Yeah, he's up there.
He's right there with Messier. I mean, Messier, it's hard to say who's the greatest leader, this guy or that guy. And there's more than just those two.
Well, they had about 5 or 6 on that team.
But Chelios, man, so hated by everybody he played against. Played forever. And
hung out with everybody, talked to everybody, partied with everybody. Like, fucking just did it all. Wasn't cheap, took care of the guys. Like that, all that comes together when you evaluate superstars like that. What did you talk to the fourth line guys? Did you talk to that 20-year-old? Did you take him out once in a while? Did you show him that you actually know who he is? Like, man, that shit goes a long way.
Those Red Wings,
you take care of the boys.
Those Red Wings teams, they were so good, man. They were so good. St. Louis could just never really get past them.
I know. Well, they could have. There's a lot of bad things happen. You Grant Fuhr, we all know the Stevie Y coming down, going through Murray Barron's legs, bar down, see you later, jumping behind the net, getting tackled by everybody. Like that's just embedded into St. Louis Blues fans' souls. And I think it's
that game goes differently.
Well, you never know.
Mike Keenan's reputation is different.
Yeah.
A lot of things would change.
Damn right.
History would definitely change. But Darren McCarty, man, just a warrior.
Fucking awesome guy. How's that? Great guy.
This was
great
crazy.
Guy.
We get a lot of personalities.
Jesus Christ.
On this podcast.
He is. He's having a time. Man, he seems happy. Like he seems happy. He's like, I'm at the rink. I'm hanging with the guys. I'm skating with all the alumni out there, just like what we do here.
But he still has a role with the Red Wings.
Yeah.
That's one thing about the Red Wings I'll give them a lot of credit for.
Yeah. They take care of their own.
They give a lot of these guys jobs after their career is over.
Yeah.
And a lot of these guys work with them. But he's got a great story to tell, like a lot of our guests that we've had on. He's overcome a lot of adversity, a lot of personal adversity. And he seems to be really happy, which is the most important thing right now. He's gotten his life back together, which is really cool. Enjoy this one. This is Darren McCarty, man. He played a long time.
Yeah, he did.
4 Stanley Cups. He's a winner. And now he's got his life together, and he's in a good spot off the ice. Hey, as always, this is brought to you by our friends over at Bowman.
Oh, baby.
The automotive team over there located in Troy, Missouri. Stop on by. They've got a ton of used car selection, new car selection as well. And
huge Blues fans, by the way. Been supporting the Blues for a long, long time. That goes a long way, we know, with the St. Louis community. So support them. They support the St. Louis Blues, youth hockey, and all that stuff that we're into, Andy.
Yes.
Andy, you're coaching. Andy, yesterday, you coached a team. Then you do like 3 different video, TV spots. Does this? You're the man of the people right now, and so is the Bellman Automotive Group.
Hey, the Bellman Automotive team in Troy, selling 7 brands at 2 stores. They've got the Buick, the GMC, Cadillac, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. Both stores located off Highway 61 at Highway 47. Just 15-minute drive from I-70 in St. Charles.
They can come to you too, by the way.
Over 500 new and pre-owned vehicles available in Troy every day. And on the pre-owned side, You're probably looking for a pre-owned, aren't you?
Why you say that?
Yeah, I just think you're looking for a pre-owned.
Why you say that?
Always over 150 in stock, usually with several vehicles priced under $10,000. Again, a car for Cam Jansen for sure. Yeah. They've got something for everybody. This is the best part, and this is for you, Cam. If you're worried about your credit, don't be.
Why you keep bashing me? Like Kate's gonna get pissed. She's in control of all that. He's doing pretty well.
No, you got good credit. Bowman offers guaranteed credit for everyone. Nobody gets left behind. Nobody's left out.
No.
Everybody has guaranteed credit. We love that, regardless of your credit history. And they treat every buyer like family. When you stop into the Bowman, whether you're looking for a Buick, Cadillac, whatever, Dodge, Ram, Jeep, whatever it is, make sure you tell them you heard about them on the Cam and Strick Podcast. Enjoy this one, episode number 20, Darren McCarty, an NHL legend, a Stanley Cup winner, right here on the Cam and Strick Podcast.
But there's nothing worse than hanging out with a guy that makes a fuck ton of money and he doesn't spend it. And it's like, well, what the fuck's the point? Like, why not spend that money and have fun and kick your feet up? Why be cheap? I don't hang out with anybody that's cheap, to be honest with you, besides Andy.
We all have that. On Grind Time with Darren McCarty, if you watch it at all, I have Terry, who's next to me, who's my co-host, and we're still trying to figure out what the fuck he does, but he definitely doesn't pull out his fucking wallet. I don't even know if he has one.
Hey,
but no, I mean, you know, like Cam, like we can talk all we want about it, and I was just having this conversation with Brad May because we were playing a outdoor game, but we're not the old guys going, oh, in my game. No, this game's different. This ain't my game, but that doesn't change, and you know how tight a group is by the way that the veterans lead it. I say, exactly. For example, Chris Chelios is the godfather, and Chris Chelios takes care of all the guys, teammates. So,
just like Walt did. Walt did the same thing. Kovalchuk did the same thing. Marty did the same shit. But there's a couple guys, I'm not going to throw them under the bus, but there's a couple guys that were fucking cheap, and you're like, you know what? Okay.
Right, and
fuck that.
So, and sometimes, here's the whole thing. It's like the guys who, there's a difference, though, when you want a guy to be known. You throw out the old, oh, look at freaking alligator arms. Oh, fucking dinosaur, T-Rex. Rah, rah, can't get in the pocket, say, fuck, whatever like that. And then you rip on it. Like, but that goes to show you the culture of the team, right?
Yeah.
Because you'll do that to a guy who's making the cash that will take it like, oh, shit, yeah, no, it's like some guys literally forget, like the hockey guys, some guys forget that they're making as much as they are because they're not, you know what I'm trying to say?
Oh,
is that they're not focused. So you remind them and they're like, oh yeah, of course. Cause they didn't want to. It's the guys that are intentionally cheap that you don't like.
You played with so many guys that had so much money though.
Oh,
I mean, half the roster probably had
back in the day, right?
$35 million in the bank. Who stepped up? Who was the guy that took care of everyone?
All the big guys. Like all the guys that made the money, whenever all the way it worked on our team, no matter who it was, that if it was like we talked at the beginning, right? Like when we take out our buddies, or if I take out like the grind line or whatever like that, we're gonna play birds in the bush where we throw our cards in and it doesn't matter. We're on the same way. If that comes up in a credit card game or whatever with the big guys, you don't even play. You don't have to play.
Mm-hmm.
You're going out because, and here's the difference, right? There's three groups of guys, and Cam, you can attest to this, right? There's when you get off the bus at the hotel, there's the dash and dine guys who like to eat, go to a movie, and then come back and fucking chow ice cream because they got to watch Melrose Place or shit like that. Guys like me and Drapes and shit like that. Then you got the fucking the guys that do the 3-hour, 3-bottle of wine, fucking Morton's fucking dinner, stuff like that. The Vortex, right? And then you got the video gamers or the new parents that just do room service and fucking right upstairs.
Have a girlfriend in high school and they still talk every day. Yeah.
Right. That right. There's always that. So it all, and usually it was usually, the guys that were the grinders or the, not making as much when we go out and have fun or do whatever we want. It'd be when you're making the same money, it gets all spread around. On the right teams, the culture is that you don't keep tabs, but guys take care of each other, in different ways. And that's, and that goes along to the culture, and that goes why we won too. Like you say that. You play hard for a guy that not only appreciates you, and you know this, Cam, for the role you played, and you're one of the best at it because it's like that your teammates loved you because they appreciated you, and you would go through the wall for them because they appreciated you.
Dude, I'd rack up the tab at Morton's.
Hey, but he's so fucking cheap.
Hey, don't worry. Bang, 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 bang. Yeah, that's the thing. But you can't. That's the thing. You can't rack a tab up on those guys when they're ordering 700 bottles of wine. Shit. Good luck. You're 12 Jack and Coke, slide right in there.
Exactly.
D-Mac, he's so cheap. He doesn't even stop to get himself a coffee. Yeah. I walk in. He asked if he could have half of my coffee. I had to lie to him and tell him I'm sick so he doesn't drink my coffee.
Fuck. I swear to God, I spent so much goddamn money. I spent so much money, and now I'm actually on a somewhat of a budget, and it's somewhat nice. But back, man, I spent a ton of money. Fuck, man. Like, all your buddies, they weren't making money at the time, so, I wanted to show off. I wanted to show off to everybody,
Well, and that's, bro, and that's sort of wisdom of what we've gone through and what we can, pass down. And dude, I'm the same way, man. I mean, I'm no good with it. I just finally surrounded myself with people that actually care about me enough to look out for me so I can, be me. And a lot of the times it's like, and it's not it's just, you got to get rid of the ill intentions, like I keep everybody with pure intentions around me. That way, if there's a mistake, at least it's for the we. There's no eyes around me anymore. And it's not like I want to change anybody. It's just that if you're going to be an eye, fuck off. Yep. Google me because you're not even like I make it as blatant as possible. If you're one of those, what do you mean by that? Come on over. I'll answer questions all day. We can talk. If you want to argue, I'm done arguing, man. I'm just gonna fucking punch you in the face. And then when that happens, I told you to Google me a million times on a million shows. Because I don't have time for that bullshit, right?
It's gonna be a left. It's gonna be a fucking left coming at you too.
Well, that's all I got, bro. That's it. Fire them hard. Yeah. Which you can appreciate this more than anybody. That when you watch that March 26th when I fucking hit Lemieux with that cold cock, that was a right.
That was a right bomb with the glove on.
That was a right bomb with the glove on. Like that's all God. I can't hit a fucking broadside of a barn with that right hand.
And you don't feel bad about doing that at all, even to this day, do you?
No, because for a fact out of anybody, it's the moral code of right or wrong, and shit happens in hockey, shit happens in life, but you can't lose the respect for a fellow human being. And when Draper says, or when Claude Lemieux says that you never would have heard of Kris Draper, he's not sorry, and he just made him money or whatever, dude. Anybody else, like in real life, you might get fucking shot. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like this. And so the way that it played out, does anybody else, the way it played out, that Igor Larionov starts it, I'm able to fucking wax his ass, get 4 minutes for roughing, stay in the game, and score the overtime winner.
How awesome is that? Man. How many games would you have gotten today?
You can't fucking write that up.
You would have gotten 10 games today.
No, here, you'll appreciate this. So we played the Outdoor Winter Classic in 2013 against Toronto here in Detroit. And Shanny at the time, Brendan Shanahan, who's the president now of Toronto, was my teammate, was in the melee, was doing the discipline for the league. And I said, Shanny, what, back in the day, it was 17 years ago, what would I have gotten? He goes, I wouldn't overlook the knee. You would have got 7 to 10 games. And I'm like, fuck you. You were in it. You fucking
did need him. You need him.
I did. Dan Shackey. And this is how like old school, because Paul Dvorsky and Dan Shackey, they reffed the game the year before. So I don't know if you have to talk to them, but 4 minutes in the 10, and I got $2,500 fine. No suspension. Dan Shackey on the call said he pushed me, which, I think he did. I was off balance, bro. You know how it goes.
Oh, yeah, Shanahan, he tackled Patrick Waugh. That's one of the all-timers, man. That was such a great scene. Incredible. Anybody growing up watching that will always have that cemented in their brain, man. I mean, the rivalry between you guys and Colorado, like how much hate was there? Did you truly hate those guys?
No, it was true, absolute, like, hatred from, like, and you go back to when Patrick Waugh's last game, when we put 11 on him in Montreal, and then he went to Colorado, and that just ignited such the rivalry because you had two of the best teams that just toe-to-toe with each other. And at the end of the day, they're a few of them are bitter. Not all of them, but I think Adam Foote and Patrick Waugh are a little bitter. that we have 3 cups and they had 2 over the time. So, I mean, it's just the way it is. That ain't going to change. None of us are playing anymore. So, I mean, but it was real live hatred. Like, you don't get that in that. You don't get the rivalries like that in the game because it's the Bettman hockey and the parody and all that bullshit. So,
well, he was so he did a lot of Lemieux did a lot of fucking horrible things, and hitting suckering Kozlov, and then he hits Draper. You're right there on the bench. You could hear his fucking face pop. I mean, how it's just like the ultimate.
Well, I'm going to ask Cam. This. So put yourself in my spot. That it's not just a centerman of your line or your teammate, but it's your best friend. You know what I mean? And then this shit happens, and you're like, you've seen shit like that. You've had to go whatever, but it's just you don't know how bad it is. You're almost in shock. I think the rest of the game, it's just like because like shit like that. You want to impose your will on the other team, but no matter what, you don't want somebody to like not be able to go home to their family or to end their career and shit like that. That's just not the way it is.
And you also don't even like having a nasty ass concussion, man. Like, we're just fucking sitting in your room and you got to turn the blinds down. You can't talk to anybody. You're depressed. When people go through that, like, we've seen so many guys go through those concussion problems like that. It's just it's a horrible, horrible thing. It's like coming off of drugs or something, but it lasts forever, and you don't know the timetable of it. So it's tough, man. You guys, it was a crazy part of hockey back then when you played. But you also played with a couple other decent superstars in that whole Russian 5 ordeal. I mean, explain this, watching those guys in fucking practice, and did they hang out?
Well,
were they just hanging out with themselves? Did you ever like go to dinner with them, or were they just their own thing?
All the time. That's why it worked. You watch the Russian 5 documentary, and it's so true.
Mm-hmm.
Like we were a family, and just like in any locker room, you have your sort of cliques, but and it's more so by age and guys like that. But dude, I got my history and education. I'd play dominoes and on the plane with the Russian with Chika or Masseuse, Igor and Pavel even back then. But just to sit around and go to dinner, or I'd go. Like in Vancouver, where Larionov originally played when he came over, when we go into town, he'd always go, there's Russian immigrants that he made friends with, and he'd take me out to dinner, and I'd go to their apartment and have Russian dinner, and got introduced to lemon poppy seed muffins that are phenomenal, and it just, the culture was unbelievable, and that's why it's shared, because there was that, coming from that, they're commies, and they're different than us, that we embraced it. Now go back to the hockey part. Dude, we practiced our practices suck more than the games. I like the game because I could touch the puck and actually get a chance. Practice, you couldn't hit anybody, and you just have to chase the puck around. So it's like, what the fuck am I doing?
Hey, so listen, you've mentioned culture now 3 or 4 times. Was it true? Did Yzerman run the show? I mean, you just mentioned Chelios, the Godfather, and I gotten to know him through USA Hockey things and whatever. Like, I would just imagine whenever he's around, this guy's always running the show. I mean, you had Shanahan, you had all these different personalities. How did everybody intertwine, and who really set the tone? And was it all Stevie? Explain how that dynamic worked.
Absolutely not. There's an old commercial I used to play around when E.F. Hutton talks, people listen. Steve Yzerman was he was a man of action, not a man of words, but when he did talk, he got everybody's attention. So, how the dressing room works. It's fucking, I'm loud as hell, and there's these guys. There's the pecking order. But in our room, it was the talent was the leadership, and it would go out and play. And Scotty was the catalyst because he always kept you off guard. But the one thing, and here's the difference. When you say that, and you can realize it now, and if we're talking about culture and stuff, Scotty Bowman taught us that, you didn't agree with them, but at the end of the day, you knew it was about collecting the rings. It was always the Detroit Red Wings, coached by Scotty Bowman. Then Mike Babcock comes in, and the culture changes because it's head coach, or it's Mike Babcock, head coach of the Detroit Red Wings. It goes from the we to the I. So having Stevie back here in Detroit, it's going to take a minute. We're talking here on the trade deadline day where this is a lot of action around the league, but it's having that culture with the right guys in place, because it's doing it the right way. It's being accountable, and it's caring. The one thing that, hey, they don't have the wins and losses in the locker room, but these guys like each other, and a lot of them aren't going to be here, but it's a start. So, it's tough sledding. It's tough sledding right now, but it happens, and the goal here in Detroit is that we don't have to ever be back in this position.
Darren, break it down for us. I mean, I've gotten to know some of your former teammates. I mean, nobody has really anything positive to say about Babcock. Like, he takes over for Scotty Bowman. You just mentioned it.
Well, I left, right?
Okay.
I got bought out.
But then you came back. Yeah. What's up with this guy? Like, was anybody on the same page? And if not, what is it about him that kind of, draws a line between the players and the coach? Because we saw that obviously in Toronto as well.
When coming from a culture that Scotty Bowman, with all the rings and stuff that he taught us, take care of the little things, big things take care of itself. Now, the one thing about Mike Babcock is that X's and O's in preparation, he's the best. Mm-hmm. I mean, and coming from a guy, and you read the stats all the time, checking out this, you knew exactly what you had to do. But it's the how you treat people. And it's not how you treat me, because I get along with them. I had respect. I had a job to do. I knew what it was in there. But when I say we won in spite of them in 08 and lost because of them in 09, when you get it around, and you just know that when, there's people that when they put themselves in front of the team and aren't nice about it, it's how they treat. You watch them treat other people, and I've never seen anybody shit top to bottom. Usually shit bottom up, right? We're used to taking the shit, but you shit top to bottom, that usually doesn't work. And
I think Andy does, actually.
Hey, but even Johan Franzen, man, he seems like one of the nicest guys ever. And right,
I can't comment on that, because what I can comment on is while I was there, and then when stuff comes out, like Chelly came out, or Franzen comes out and says in 12 and 13, I can say, I can see that coming. That would not happen on my watch. You would have seen me with a fist fight with the coach and all over the news, because that's a vulnerable truth with integrity that I can't stand for, where it would get to the point. But again, let's call it the way it is. We know more about mental illness and concussions and the way that it happens than we did even early in the 2012-13. So the fact that we talk about it more, it's to prevent, so it doesn't happen to guys again. And then that's the whole thing with, the guys like Cam. You've had concussions. The things that you do. It's about helping the guys that have been through the battles. And it doesn't matter if you played one game, no games that you play, that that you can talk about it, and there's options out there, so you don't have to go through it alone, so you don't end up in these situations. But again, it comes down to people.
You're listening to the Cam and Strick Podcast, and Cam, I don't know if you're in the market for a car, but if you are, there's only one place to go, and that is to call our boy Dan Bellman.
Great guy, huge hockey fan, has been in the business a long, long time. The weather's changing, Andy. They got a ton of different options over there. You can get a new Jeep, take the doors off, go cruise around. They got trucks, they got Cadillacs. You want an Escalade? Probably not going to happen, but they're nice. They have all kinds of options for you, Andy Strickland, if you want one of those nice Cadillac Escalades that they have.
Unbelievable stuff happening in Troy. Bellman Automotive in Troy. They've got the Buick, the GMCs, the Cadillacs. Right across the street, you've got the Bellman, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. Something for everybody. Family cars, something for the kids, something to look good on the weekend,
baby, yes.
For the nice weather.
Styling, dude.
Absolutely. Longtime hockey fans, we appreciate all the support. And let me just say this right now. I will guarantee you the Cam and Strick experience. Shoot us a direct message. Get involved with us. I will personally get you in touch with a sales manager out there at Bellman Automotive. Tell them you heard about them on the Cam and Strick Podcast. Now back to the podcast.
You always talk about, you have talked about Scotty Bowman and how close you guys were and how much he respected you. He even had a comment, something to the effect of, you're his second favorite right winger. I believe Guy Lafleur played right wing. Yeah, that's I've never heard of him. I've never heard of him.
Yeah.
But were you ever like, okay, Scotty, I know you saved me from Tony Twist one time when you came down and said he'll fucking sit your ass if he fights Twister. You're probably looking at him like, thank you. But did you ever say to him, give me a fucking heavy to take care of the monsters so I can go play my game?
Never.
Yeah,
but he was so smart, dude. He was so smart. And you look at like where if I can be the best Robin in the world, then it's because to play. And he knew. When you look back, and it wasn't through communication. It's just that Scotty Bowman taught us all that you don't treat everybody the same because they're not the same, and you got to find the motivation for each and everybody else. If you tell Sergei Fedorov he's got to do this more, and you tell Darren McCarty don't ever do that again. It's the same message.
Yeah.
But look what he did. When the biggest three moves for us to get over the hump from 96 to win in 97 is the acquisition of Brendan Shanahan, Larry Murphy, and Joey Kosher. Joey Kosher out of the beer leagues, who we call Papa, who's the president of the alumni, who's one of the greatest people that I know. He came in, and you know how it is when that veteran guy like that could come in and solidify the younger guys and also give the confidence because – we're going through, the 97, 98. When I can worry about playing, a lot of the game on Stevie's line and then, picking up the beginning and the end of shifts with the grind line, it works for all of us where I don't have to worry about taking any heavies. Hey, Joey Kosher's on the end of the bench. I don't think you want that right hand, bro.
You could have my left hand and you could have his right hand. Have fun with that.
Hey, how much of a rock star was Sergei Fedorov? When he came there in his prime, Nike skates, white skates, Kornikova. I mean, what should we know about this guy?
You know what? The one thing about Sergei is he's one of the nicest people or whatever. I think he's just misunderstood. I think coming over here and taking on everything he did at the time is that, he's his own dude. He knows who he is. One of the greatest stories that I have I'll tell you, is that my rookie year, and it was in 93, and it was in probably the first month or whatever. And he says to me, "Hey, you want to go to the Meat Puppets and Stone Temple Pilots were playing at Old Coble Hall." Me and my girl at the time, and him and one of his girls or whatever, but we went out. Took me out, just him and I and the girls went to the concerts and did that, and then went after hours in Detroit with Sergei, which is fucking great.
Oh my God.
So he's misunderstood because he's one of the greatest guys, and one of the things is that I guess when you remember you're probably dealing with, if you're dealing with an 18-year-old, and not a lot of us now who have kids that are either in their teens or in their 20s know that sometimes you got to communicate with them a little differently. That's what Scotty realized, but he was definitely an integral part. And guys love Sergei. Here's the thing, right? Sergei was one of those guys that I felt that he would look around and go, well, you know what? There's so much talent that they don't need me or whatever else. And then we go, Sergei, bro, we need you tonight. And he'd be like, oh, okay, guys. And he'd go out, boom, score, boom, go out, So it'd be like sometimes, as Iggy says in the Russian 5, you got to put your mark on it. And him coming back in Game 6 in 97 and scoring the winning goal, that was a testament to his toughness.
What about who would you rather have on your line, or who's better, Pavel Datsyuk or Sergei Fedorov? I know they're different players, but who's better overall? In your opinion?
What do you like? Do you like the flash, or do you like the just two great, both?
Who's going to win you? Who's going to win you a cup? I mean, they both are, but who? I don't know. It's a tough question.
Because they both bring different things. I guess I would say who's their B? Who, you know what I mean? Is it Yzerman? Who would I take? Yzerman, Fedorov, Datsyuk, Zetterberg? You know what I'm saying? It depends on who the B is, because that's as tough a question as it gets.
All right.
And it all goes. I'm gonna divert that one.
No,
you can't go wrong.
Take the fifth.
I'll take that.
Stump
How
them.
about I'll take this? I'll take the second choice. Make Drapes make the first.
Hey, that's fine. And listen, you shouldn't have to make a choice there. I mean, two great players, two great teammates. You won championships with both of them. So, what about the biggest rival? Like Detroit, man, you guys had a rival with everybody. It didn't matter if it was Chicago, St. Louis, Colorado. Like, how did you view your games against St. Louis? How big of games were these?
Oh, no, like unbelievable, because St. Louis and there's this like respect that you have, and it changed too with Chicago when Chelly came over, and he can be the hated villain to being liked. There's always this workman. Like, nobody was happier than me for St. Louis winning last year, because of the way that they did it, and the city and stuff like that. All the games that we always played, they were always hard nosed and tougher, and even though we at the end of the day, we came out on top, it was a lot harder. It was a lot closer than people think. That's the thing is you remember, I always say it about the Chicago people, right? When they come up and say, "Oh, are you here to thank me because I retired so you guys could win?" But the things were a lot closer than people thought with all those rivalries, because there's so many great teams.
I mean, because St. Louis was stacked, right? When Eisman scores the overtime goal,
loaded. When
Grant Fuhr was out, John Casey, I mean, they were stacked. That game could have gone either way, and if St. Louis wins that game, who knows? Maybe they win the Stanley Cup that year.
Maybe that's the whole thing with the game is you look back and you can remember how close they were, and you forget these little intricacies of that's why it always blares in my head. Take care of the little things, the big things will take care of itself.
How was Hasek dealing with him? I've heard mixed reviews on him from Matthew Barnaby's loud about him, and you say nut job crazy, this guy's nuts, like flat nuts. And for me to say that, what's that tell you? I mean, why you have to be crazy to be that good, I guess. But dude, he'd have us line up in the slot after practice, take slap shots out of his head, and he'd be heading them like a soccer goalie, and all this stuff. And then the amazing thing is, as great as he was, and he had the body of Skeletor. Like, he's the only guy I could see he'd wrap a freaking Gatorade towel around him and use it like we would a shower towel. Like, there was nothing to this guy. Like, the wind blew, and you think it'd knock him over. Was he nice? Was he just in a different planet when he's talking to guys? Did he talk to the young guys? I mean, was he kind of an ass in the locker room at all?
Just a weirdo. You just say, stop the puck, Dom, and stay in your net. I mean, no, don't. I mean, dude, seriously. I've seen 5-year-olds with better puck handling ability. Your greatest goal is stay in your net. Dude, these guys on the bench just go nuts when you come out of the net to play the puck.
Hey, what do you think when you see Craig Berube lead the Blues to a cup when you consider his? I'm sure you guys had a couple of run-ins, but you got to have a lot of respect for him.
Best thing is that I'm buddies with Steve Ott, so I saw him in the summertime, and I couldn't wait to congratulate him. But it was just, pretty much what they changed is the culture there. Yeah. And instead of guys going, oh, I deserve this and I deserve that and I deserve that, because you look up and down that roster, they got the guys, and they just were able to. It's amazing how when you buy into something and understand, but you have to be sold out, and the whole city was sold out, and you see how hard it was still to come by it. It was awesome to watch, and it's awesome to see Chief do it, and just because of so much respect and as a player and as a person, but for what the St. Louis did, it was time. It's one of these things. It was time.
Yeah, you would have been loved here, man. And Otter's our boy, by the way. And so it's great, man. So we got a lot of similarities there. Steve Ott's definitely a friend of ours for sure. And this guy had a huge impact on the Blues. A bigger impact on the Blues than I think people realize, too, when he came down on the bench. And that's when things started to change. But listen, Darren, you got a great story, man, just in terms of your life and everything you've been through. How you doing nowadays? Give us an idea what you're doing now.
Things were any better, I'd be twins. It would be better, because then I could actually do all the stuff that I got. But, let me start. So in Michigan, we've legalized cannabis. And so with that, as we were mentioning, with the PTSD and the concussions and the CBD that all the guys are getting involved with. I'm involved in a company called Pinkana, which is the largest seed to sale facility in Michigan. We're just finishing our $200 million facility. So between that, but my big thing is Grind Time with Darren McCarty, my podcast on NRM Streamcast. So just podcasts and doing the fun stuff, public relations. I got Darren McCarty Slaps the Comedy Tour, travel around Michigan, and actually got a lot of new stuff coming out. But check out Grind Time with Darren McCarty. That's the best way to find out. DarrenMcCarty.com.
We definitely will do that. You say you're what is it, stand-up?
I've been doing it for 2 years, dude.
That's got to be the most difficult fucking thing in the world.
No, listen, bro. Let's get one thing straight, okay? I've realized that I'm not sensitive enough to be a comic, but I also have a band. I'm not talented enough to be a musician. I'm an entertainer. Mm-hmm. I've entertained people before, so I entertain people. I bring comics with me to say funny, but it's one of those things when I got jokes. I got jokes and routines and stuff like that. So it's just a great way to communicate. For me, it's, bottom line is with everything that I've been through, the transparency of always, no matter what, falling down, but getting back up and trying to show people that, look, it can get better. So it's just, being able to go out and connect with everybody. That's what it's all about. So I'm a battery. People are my power, bro.
Damn right, man.
Hey, you've been open. You've been open about all your, your rehab stints and everything you've gone through from that standpoint. What got you over the top, to be in the place that you're in right now? What do you attribute that to?
See, here's the thing with the cannabis. The cannabis has allowed me to get the physical addiction of the alcohol away. So spiritually and mentally, I've been ready for a long time. It's just there's this nagging thing. So that's where the CBD has really allowed me, because I come from insomnia. So not being able to sleep and and learning all that stuff like that. So to be able to sleep and to be able, through the love and care of the cannabis community in Michigan, they brought me back to life. And so it's my goal. I took the Red Wing off. I put the cannabis plant on, just because it's about awareness, not whether you do or you don't. So the one thing is it's all about just looking in the mirror and not lying to that person. And if you want to change, then change. Because if you keep your intentions pure and surround yourself with the right people. The one thing that I learned is not that I got to know where I'm going. It's just I absolutely know what I don't want.
Oh yeah, no. You've been through a lot, man. And so you don't.
No, but it's lessons. It's just lessons and lead by example. So, I mean, you just got to. The bottom line is, if you never quit, you're still in the game.
So you don't drink anymore? Do you just smoke every day?
I just like
vape pens. You still like the grass?
I prefer flower, but the big thing is to make sure that the tincture, which is like the drops of the CBD and stuff like that, and the big thing is like the Rick Simpson oil, which is the whole plant concentrate. That's what they use to help cure cancer and stuff. My thing is in today's day and age, and that's everything, you have to get answers for yourself. So get educated. So for me, it's just the education of how to use my body in the proper way. And if you just look at pictures of me over time, I'm Benjamin Button, bro. And there's nothing I do. I swear to God, go look at pictures over time, and you see, because at the worst. So my sobriety date's 11/11/15. I have it tattooed on my wrist. And so just over 4 years, and that's from alcohol and pills and whatever else. And it's just the free, it's just the ability to be free. And then, our contemporaries, Danny Carcillo and Riley Cote and Scott Parker, those guys have been huge and communicating along the way, because it's like, dude, the bottom line is nobody's going to take care of our own guys, so we're going to take care of our own.
So
it's sort of like the Warriors clan.
Yeah. How do you educate people who maybe just don't understand it? They don't get it. They think, wait, Darren McCarty, he's gone off the deep end, man. He just smokes weed all the time. Like people who, have been around the game that maybe don't understand and can't connect to, that reality for you. How do you explain it to those people?
Right. So there's what I would say to everybody out there, endocannabinoid system, anything with the spine has it. Okay. Because this plant, the cannabis plant, is strictly for that in your system. So, oh, wait, what? I have a system that if I put this plant in, that it'll distribute throughout my body that I don't have to worry about. All I have to do is get educated on what to put in it, and my body will take care of the rest. What do you mean? You can control my sleep, or you can help me with my pain. What, if I rub this on my leg, it's not going to get me buzzed but it's not going to give me this pill pain. No. I'm going to say to you in about 5-10 minutes, hey, how's that knee? And you'll be like, what? Oh, I can't feel it. Oh, yep. So it doesn't get, it's people getting educated on their own. Like I said, I'm here for anybody that what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? You get a hold of me, ask me the day comes home. You want to start arguing? I'm the wrong guy. You can Google me to find out. We're done arguing. This is not the education. We're in 2020, right? Yeah, I'm not going to rip on the pharmaceuticals and stuff like that 10 years ago for lack of education. But in 2020, I am, because we're more educated. So I'm just not going to – you're going to be accountable when you have to talk to me. So take that bullshit elsewhere. Yeah. And if you want to have a real conversation about what you're concerned on, I'm going to lead you on your own journey. Right? Because you got to do the work. Yep. That's the whole thing. You got to do the work.
And I think it's big for people that are addicted to pain pills like I was back in the day too. And it's a horrible, horrible thing. But it's a great transition to CBD. Right?
And then where you have to educate. So as long as you understand this, is that so what I say is being an alcoholic is that, because of your body and stuff, if you don't drink, your body will heal itself, right? Your liver will heal itself. And the fact is that the cannabis can help you as an alcoholic with your sleep and stuff like that. As an opioid addict, what you've done is you got to realize you've severed the receptors. Yes. So you'll never reconnect them. Mm-hmm. So that urge that you always have will be there. But with the CBD, you can dull it, which we can take it from a migraine to a build-up headache, like coming on, but not too bad to incapacitate you. And what do you mean by? And when people ask, what do you mean by that? Go look it up, bro. Go look it up.
And it's an alternative to Suboxone, which is a whole nother animal that you take to sever the endorphins, like you said, so you don't crave that. And then you have to get off that fucking thing, and that takes another 2 months. Dude, it's even worse than opioids.
Pills, right? And this is a simple way, and this is Darren McCarty's translation. One will, if you take one, it cures something, but it brings something else, maybe 2 other things on. You get those, and then you're always chasing something, right? Let your body do the work naturally as it was supposed to be intended through this plant. What do you have to lose? Get educated and try something different. And bottom line, it's about your option, not whether you do it or not. If I'm sitting here as Darren McCarty's selfish pot smoker, I don't want anybody to use it. You know how much weed there'd be in the world for me? But that's not the way I operate, boys. I operate where I have to let you know, and you have to make the conscious effort to leave me the weed.
Did guys not smoke weed back when you were playing? Like it wasn't around all the time, like it is now?
That was booze and coke and like the even there's the ecstasy. But our guys are drinkers. Hockey's a drinking sport.
Yeah.
They only use the other stuff to drink more.
Yeah.
That's the
stay awake.
That's the best part about being an alcoholic is I realized I didn't have a coke problem.
You're just trying to get home.
It was the equalizer, bro. Yeah, just to get her straight. But that's and these are all just with everything else is anything in life. There's so many resources to fact check and get your own answers and educate because, I was lied to for so long. Near the end of my career, I realized the dichotomy in it, but, I was lucky enough to make my mark and then get out and not kill myself and figure it out and be here today.
Be happy.
So,
and be happy. Absolutely.
Do you miss the game? What's your connection to the game now? Yeah, exactly.
I play alumni. I do alumni games. I'm actually, like I said, Shelly and I and Brad May and Todd Bertuzzi were up in Brockville, Ontario last weekend. They got I call it the Brockville Blueprint. The community's put together an outdoor rink, and it's phenomenal. It's like a real rink, but it's outdoors. It was cool. So, and then this week I'm going to Toronto to play in the NHL alumni with the big shots, Jenny.
Oh yeah,
the big guys.
I'm going on my tour, man. We do it all. I love it. hanging with the guys in the locker room, shoot the shit. Everybody goes out to the events and shit. We Chaser does a lot of that too, and we're going down to Nashville. We're having our own fantasy camp in St. Louis. Don't be shy to fucking come down. Mike Keene has one up in Winnipeg, dude. They're an absolute blast. And I'll tell you this: if you're gonna spend money on me, I'm gonna entertain you all night.
And you just mentioned where I'll answer the question. What do you miss? Playing the game, even the alumni, is the worst thing that I do, that I hate the most. So I got it going pretty good, right? You miss the locker room, you miss all the stories, you miss talking about, I miss talking to me and Brad May, who battled, all through junior, and just to be able to sit down and to have, conversations about, fighting different guys or talking about technique or just about, the anxiety about having to play and, just to relate that, dude, we're all the same. And now it's like, what are we going to do to enjoy it? And to be out there and to reconnect with the people in any way, it's awesome.
I see I've gotten to know Kirk Maltby, man, who's one of the nicest people ever.
Yeah,
right?
What a dick on the ice, though. Right?
Fucking prick.
Dude, hey, listen, those fucking assholes. You know how many times I walk into a pile and they'd be like, how do you like these assholes? I'm like, yeah, they're my assholes.
I know them.
I know. But I tell people all the time, man, because he was absolutely hated here in St. Louis. I'm like, this is one of the nicest people you'll ever meet, man. But sometimes you just flip a switch, I guess, when the competition's going on, right?
Well, you know what? And that just goes to show you why we won, is that he's as competitive and do anything like Maltz would friggin' Jenna Jameson take a face shot like nobody's business if it meant to win. So
look that one up, Andy.
Your guy sent me a photo of you with the guy. Who's this? Who's Rico Phillips? The guy. What's the story here?
Rico Phillips. This is a great story. You'll love this. He won the Willie O'Ree Community Award last year, and he's from Flint, inner city. He started a grassroots program, but his story is unbelievable. So here's a guy that grew up in the inner city of Flint. Since 7 years old, went to a firehouse, always knew he wanted to be a fireman. In high school, he got turned on to hockey, didn't know anything about it because they needed a team manager, and loved the game. Didn't know how to play, got into reffing, anyways, was able to become a fireman in Flint for 27 years and start this grassroots program in 2010. It only went for a year. He revamped it, started again in 2014, and won the award this last year for Willie O'Ree. He's an incredible guy. The diversity yesterday in Detroit at the game versus Calgary was hockey is for everyone. So it's just promoting the sport, and I love the stuff with the inner cities. There's Clark Park, which is the oldest outdoor rink, which is under the Ambassador Bridge. I do a lot with them, and I've done since my first year. So just I love people that love the game. Their passion for hockey, and it doesn't matter. It's not about how good you are. It's just, and it doesn't matter if you're on the ice, you're kicking it around. Dude, we played with a can when we grew up, so it doesn't matter what it is. Hockey's hockey, and I love it. I love the passion that people have, and just want to introduce people to different people that are trying to make a difference. Yeah,
and you scored 50 goals in junior. So with that
can
may have been good.
Hey, hold on.
50 fucking goals.
Maltz had 50 in junior. I had 55. I had 55.
Oh, yeah.
Don't ever let him. Hey, next time you see him, just say, hey, Maltz, you had 50 in junior, right? Back at 55, though. He might want to remind you that.
And 300 minutes.
All those guys, man, they're all working in hockey. A lot of those guys still work for the Red Wings. I mean, you want to get back into it, or you like what you're doing now?
Fuck no, bro.
Dude,
I live my life with the ring. I got a great gig. I do all the marketing, PR, season tickets. I'm down at the rink, doing a lot of stuff with the fans and the people and stuff. Cool. So I got Stevie Drapes, Maltz, Fish, Cleary, Horka. We got the whole crew. They can figure it out and spend all the time traveling around the world watching guys. I don't want to do that.
Hey, I hear you on that.
I want to do that. I want to do this. I want to do this and talk to Bam.
Fuck yeah.
And Andy, I guess you too.
Hey, before we let you go, because you play with Holy, I feel like you guys would be like best friends.
Bird Hall. Oh, yeah, we were. Bird Hall, man. Dude, he is it's funny because his shelf life's about 3 years on a team when you like to wear it out, but not with the guys. Not when you understand that he's one of the he's such a great dude. He's another misunderstood dude because Holly's Holly, you know. And I guess I was fortunate enough that I knew his dad from when I played junior in Belleville, because the owner of our team, Dr. Robert Bond, and Bobby Hull were great friends. But he's a lot like his dad. But I love him because he's one of the things that he just doesn't give a shit. You know where he stands.
Exactly.
You know where he stands, and dude, if people understood of the stick that he used to score that many goals, I mean, like this little whippy blade toe hook that was like a child's flex, you know, it was unbelievable. But he's one of my favorite guys, because I'd sit at the back of the bus and listen to him just rip on Hitchcock and tell stories from Dallas. Oh, hey, that's the whole thing, is that you know where you stand, because that's the worst thing I think that happened to Sean Avery in his rookie years, living with Brett Hall and driving to the rink with him every day.
Well,
we had him on a few weeks ago.
Yeah, we had.
How's he doing?
He's good. But you know what?
Dude, hey, is he just? Hey, I'm waiting for him to motherfuck some bicycle rider people again.
I'm waiting for him to get his ass kicked. I'm waiting for somebody to get off and say, "What the fuck did you say to me?" Some guy like put him in an arm bar.
Hey, but I was telling a story though, Darren. Like, I think it was 2001 playoffs, and I was in Detroit covering, the Blues. Were playing the Red Wings. And there was this guy on the ice just dangling people. It was like the healthy scratches. The Black Aces were out on there. I was like, who is this guy? And I asked Holdy. He said, that's Sean Avery, man. This guy he's not a bad player. He's going to be around for a little while. And
that's the thing is, he's a good player. He was a good player.
Real good. Yeah. He's doing all right. But, man, hey, man, I appreciate you coming on. Sounds like you're having a good time. Don't be shy to get the crew together and come down to one of our fantasy camps down here. We'll have a good time. And we have a fucking beautiful facility and everything, man. So we got a good thing going down here. So round up the crew. Appreciate you coming on, buddy.
Darren McCarty. Thanks, dude.
Man.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, fellas. Be good.
Right on.
So that was Darren McCarty.
Ooh.
Your thoughts, Cam Jensen.
Fuck. I want to get his number. Give me his number, by the way. I'm going to call him up. I want to hang with him, man. It seems like a fun guy. I've heard nothing but unbelievable things about it. And you know how that goes, too, reputations in hockey. And whenever you bring up Darren McCarty's name, everybody's just drop of a hat. He's the fucking best.
This dude's a rock star.
Oh, yeah.
He's a comedian.
When he said that, I'm like, that is intimidating, man, going up on stage like that. But he said he fucking loves it. He's an entertainer. And
he said if he could be any happier, he'd be twins.
Yeah, I didn't understand that.
I know. You don't understand a lot of things.
Thank you.
Do you? No.
Well, he said a couple things I didn't understand, okay? Don't act like you fucking did. Who you kidding?
That was hilarious.
Oh, man. But he brought it. He brought it. Very interesting guy. We talked about all kinds of shit with him. Of course, winning and a grind line and Lemieux and Babcock and who's the other coach? Oh, yeah.
Who's Scotty Bowman?
Scotty Bowman.
You ever heard of him?
Scotty Bowman.
I'm
looking at all my notes right now. He talked about everything.
Some people, you watch them play, and even if you've never met them before, you never talked to them, you kind of have an idea of what they're like.
Yeah.
His personality completely matches who he was as a player.
No doubt about it. And he's in the Cannabis right now too. And he's helping a lot of people getting off of different medication stuff. He's doing great. He's doing God's work. Okay, and he's still entertaining the people in Detroit, and they absolutely love him there and always will.
I know you talked about it, and it's personal to you, but I mean, a lot of guys who have come on here talk about the addiction to pills.
Yeah, dude, it's bad. It's real bad. It controls your life. It does. We'll get into that one of these days on one of the podcasts, and I really let you know how bad it was for me. And I hid it from everybody. So getting off that, getting in control of your life, and your relationship. I mean, it's everything. So he's doing a lot of good work. Get into cannabis and CBD and things like that.
And I love how they all, they brought all the Russians over and they all intertwined. They all got along, man.
It's so weird.
I mean, he mentioned culture 4 or 5 times. Culture was a word that we used a lot to describe the Detroit Red Wings because they sustained success for such a long period of time.
Yeah. Well, you put a plan in place, just like Lou Lamoriello did with the Devils, and what Craig Berube is doing currently right now with the St. Louis Blues.
Yeah.
Damn.
That was cool
stuff.
Man.
Very cool stuff.
I want to give a shout out to a lot of people out there who have contacted us. Some people want to know how they can get involved with the show, the podcast. You want to advertise with us, man, we'd love to have you on board. Hit us up on Twitter. You can just shoot us a direct message. And
Cam Jansen 25. What are you, Strick Daddy or something?
At Andy Strickland.
Oh, that's cool.
At Strick Nasty on Instagram.
Oh, cool. Cool. Like Ben Nasty.
So hit us up, and we can get you involved with what we do for sure. Just like the people over at the Bowman team have.
Oh, boy.
I mean, these guys are cool, huh?
Huge hockey fans, been supporting the Blues for a long, long time. They will take care of you and drive the car to you.
They used to be known for conversion vans. I used to want one of those things, man. Those things were so badass back in the day, conversion vans. Now they do that and a lot of other things as well, man. They've got the 7 brands at 2 different stores. They're right across the street from one another. They've got the Buick, the GMC, Cadillac, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. It's really easy to get to as well. Just located off of Highway 61 at Highway 47. Just 15-minute drive from I-70 in St. Charles County. Over 500 new and pre-owned vehicles available in Troy every day.
Wow.
That's a lot, huh?
You don't say.
Yeah. Over 150 pre-owned vehicles in stock at all times, usually with several vehicles priced under $10,000, all makes and models. And again, if you have bad credit,
Doesn't matter.
if you have terrible credit, this is where you want to go.
Quit looking at me like I got fucking bad credit. Jesus Christ.
And if you have great credit, this is where you want to go as well. But don't be shy, don't be bashful, don't be scared if your credit isn't very good, because they'll be sure to take care of you.
Yes, they will.
And we love the fact that we have the Bowman Automotive Group in Troy, Illinois, on board with us here on the Cam and Strick Podcast. Until another one. That was Darren McCarty. We enjoyed that. Hope you enjoyed this edition, episode number 20 of the Cam and Strick Podcast.